Hello, friends. How are you doing? Welcome to the 2020 GOTY Determination. And year in review. Sprite, didn't we determine yours? Didn't we figure yours out, what your game of the year was? I thought we did the other day, but I don't remember and I don't want to say it wrong, in case you do have it nailed down and want to say it. He's not at liberty to disclose that information just yet. Well, when we get down to the 2020 games, Rusty, here's what I ask of you. Let me know if your 2020 game of the year is on this list somewhere before I hack it to pieces. Nintai, I do have something to say about Cyberpunk in a bit here, don't worry. So here's what we're doing, folks. Sorry to scream at you. I have put together a little bit of information about my beats for the year, not necessarily just the 2020 games. But so we're going to start off with some stats, some interesting stats, because I like spreadsheets. I like seeing how the math shakes out. And I want to share a couple of interesting bits with you. If you listen to Polykill, some of this will be duplicative, but I can give a little more context here. And then we will switch it over to the 30 or so games that I played that are 2020 releases. And yeah, we'll pare it down. Ryan, awesome to see you. Yours is top secret as well. I bet I get to find out yours at the same time as Rusty. I wonder if I could guess yours. Depends on your rules. I don't know how you define your game of the year stuff. So we have 2020 game of the year, a year in review. I decided to throw this together, like these stats to share with you, very last minute. So I didn't like make them pretty. I literally built the graphs in my Excel sheet and like copy pasted the images in to a slide. So this is not designed to be beautiful. Although when we get to the actual game of the year stuff, it is beautiful, and I'll show you that. Nintai, it is always awesome to see you. I feel like Ryan lurks so much that he needs a specific hello when he comes in. Nintai, you're reliable, alright? I can always come to you when I need a helping hand or someone to grant my wish when I collect all 7 Dragon Balls. So let's start out with the most important information we're going to have all day. The beats. Now, why do you ask? Are we looking at what at first glance appears to be the live action version of 101 Dalmatians cover? 101. 101 games is the number that I beat this year. And it may ultimately be the total number I beat. Because we have 2 days left, and I don't know if we're going to have the opportunity to beat anything else. I'm working my way through Ghost of Tsushima right now, and I don't know that I'll beat it in 2 days. It's a very long game, so 101 games is the total number that I beat. I also was kind of secretly hoping that it would only be 100 games, because that's a nice clean number. But you know, 101 still gets a reference point. And I think we're going to see if next year we can beat that. But yeah, 101 games, not bad. Not bad. By genre. See, I didn't even move the chat out of the way. My most common genre that I beat is adventure. Although technically, it's technically platformer. If you look, the top 2 after adventure are 3D platformer and just platformer. And then somewhat lower down is precision platformer. So that's 3D, 2D, and precision platformer. And if you were to combine all this together into just platformers, you would get way more. Nintai, I came prepared. Yes, it was a good year. It was a great year for 3D platformers. Yeah, five JRPGs, Dan. I mean, I have the list I could reference if I ever need to, but I beat. I replayed Final Fantasy IX this year, Ni no Kuni Remaster, a couple other ones too. And Adventure is kind of the biggest one, other than Other. Just because that's like it's a big genre. A lot of like indie games fall into what I would class as adventure, even if it's not explicitly point and click adventure. And then Other is just all the genres that I only beat one of. So I didn't want this graph to be like such a tiny eye chart beyond what it already is. So I didn't want it to be like, oh, here I beat one puzzle, well, not puzzle game, one, I can't even think of a genre that I only beat one of. Point and click adventure, maybe? But yeah. Bugsnax. See, Bugsnax is classed as probably an adventure in this setup here. Games by their original release year. 2020, the biggest year. Honestly, I would have thought that this would have been a little more evenly distributed, but I was pretty good this year about beating 2020 games. 2020 being the biggest year, 2019 being the second biggest year, that just makes sense. I don't know why 2014 randomly bumped up, but I was actually pretty happy with the spread overall, right? If you look, I beat at least one game that released in every year this last decade, which is pretty cool. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10. And then the other 2 decades I actually did pretty good. Wasn't too bad. But yeah, it was a 2020 heavy year, which kind of surprised me a little bit. And then here's the interesting one. This is how many games I beat each month. So you can see most of what I beat has actually been kind of back-ended in this year. Don't let that March deceive you. So something that is really relevant to this this chart is from the beginning of the year through May, I was working on a very stressful work project. We were launching a new application, and I was like one of the core designers and business analysts working on launching this new application and migrating off of our old one. And so, especially March through May, I did not have time or a lot of headspace for games. And I know what you're thinking. Now, that seems like a lie, Blink, because you beat 12 games in March. What happened there? But if you look at what those games are, they're all comfort food games because I was really stressed out. It was like I replayed Sayonara Wild Hearts. I replayed A Short Hike, Mario 3. It's all stuff like that. They're not even 4-hour games, Dan. That is being too generous. That is being way too generous. They're more like hour-long games. Oh, I didn't even think about that. True, you also had work projects and Joe too, yeah. So, first half of the year was not good for games at all. And then November, then it kind of picks up as we go. November is really high for 2 reasons. Well, one reason that has 2 sections. In November, I got the PS5, so I played a bunch of PS5 stuff. But also, leading up to the PS5, I was playing games waiting for my PS5 to arrive. So I beat like 5 or 6 games on Steam in like 2 days, because I was just burning through the backlog, and so that helped a lot. Dan, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the suffering as we just look briefly back at the year before we start talking about 2020. But yeah, November and December are high because I've been beating all my PS5 stuff. It has me kind of like right around then is when I started really picking up the hunt for trophies again. I'm looking at you, Rusty. And so I've been replaying stuff for trophies, so that helped. And December's always kind of high because I scramble to play everything that I want to before Game of the Year time, which I did not do. So yeah, interesting to lay it all out to see that the low points kind of coincided with what I was stressed about in my life at the time. I don't know why July was so low. I was probably playing long games. I can look at that in a sec. First time beats. This one really surprised me. Trophy hunting results in less overall beats. It depends on if I'm rebeating the game. Sometimes it results in an extra beat because, hey, I played that again. You know, like Life is Strange, to get the platinum, I rebeat it. But sometimes I'm not actually beating the game again. So like when I got the Bloodborne platinum this year, I didn't beat the game again. I just did a bunch of extra stuff. Dan, I have nothing but sympathy for you, trophy hunting in JRPGs. But first time beats. So 18% of the games that I beat this year were replays. And then 82% were new first time beats that I've never beaten that game before. And honestly, that's way more no's than I expected. I don't really replay games, hardly at all, because there's always so much new stuff that I want to play out that I always feel like I don't have time to go back. And so I was surprised that almost a fifth of what I beat was a replay. There's two reasons for that after I thought about it. One, as I mentioned, was the work stuff. I had to just play comfort food, which is games that I know when I was stressed about work earlier this year. And so I ended up playing a good chunk of replays. And then also going through the list has helped me to replay a couple of games too, because it's stuff that I have beaten before. Stuff like the Final Fantasy replay. So yeah, interesting to see that almost 20% were replays. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know what I would target for this, which is like the first rule of metric tracking is you should have a goal, I guess, something you're looking for, but I don't. I just like to see. Frantic, my dude, welcome in. Welcome to the suffering. How kind of you to hop in and say hi when you're literally unboxing your PS5 as we speak. That is a friend right there. That is a friend. I appreciate you, buddy. Maybe you can have us on in the background as you play with your new toy. Or sit down and enjoy, because we'll talk about some PS5 stuff. Making you realize and wish you kept better track of your gaming habits like this. Can't even remember what games came out this year and what was last year. Some of these I had to double check, so I understand that, Dan. But hey, it is about to be a new year. That's like a perfect kind of goal for yourself, right? Just start a Google Sheet, and every time you beat something, I throw in like 5 or 6 stats. I throw in, the system it's on, when I beat it, when it originally released, the name of the game, stuff like that. And you can mess around with that and get some interesting numbers at the end. Oh my god, that's so funny, Dan. Yeah, PS4. Honestly, my Pro is just going to probably stay in the game room here for me to stream off of now, because I just don't need it anymore. I don't know how I'm going to handle VR yet, but vibes while you vibe, Frantic. Exactly. Lindis, welcome in. It was a good year for me in terms of beats. I don't know. Okay, let me actually say this. Streaming has been a huge help to my beats, because it forces me to carve out 3 hours a day, 3 times a week, just to play stuff. And I play through stuff that I might not otherwise have played through, or like had the attention to actually make it all the way through. So like when we were grinding on Ninja Gaiden, That's something that I might not have had the patience on my own, but having all you to hang out with and talk to makes it a lot more enjoyable. So that's been fun. So shout outs to streaming for sure. Some other interesting little tidbits. The first game I beat this year, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. And that was for the list. It's also a really good game. I beat it on last year's New Year's break. I had a week off last year. I remember sitting in the living room out there at like 3:30 in the morning, grinding through that game. I still have not played the second one, though. The most recent game I beat was Abzu. I just beat that the other day. I beat Pathless and wanted to play the other game by that studio. We'll talk about Pathless in a bit here. My top 5 systems with regards to beats in order are PS4, Switch, PC, NES, and 3DS. First 3 make a lot of sense. They're just like the relevant platforms that I play on, right? NES is all exclusively because of streaming. I don't think I beat any NES thing off stream, but we went through both Ninja Gaidens. We beat Marble Madness on stream. We beat like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 games on stream for the NES. So that's where that came from. And then 3DS actually really surprised me that I beat that much 3DS stuff, but I was very nostalgic for the 3DS earlier this year, and I had like a period where I was going pretty hard on it. Played Pilot Wings Resort, played Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. I still am very nostalgic for the 3DS. I still want to pick up some 3DS stuff. I've heard the second is excellent. I've heard the second Lufia described as like one of those top tier games for the SNES. And then last year, I beat 30 more games this year than I did last year. So I improved this year in terms of beating games. I did not shrink my backlog, though. I bought more than I beat, which is not a good sign. But we were more efficient this year than last year, which is good. But the backloggery is still hurting. Still hurting. All right, so it's gonna be Game of the Year talk. That rounds out our stats. We just wanted to quickly look back, see some fun stuff. But we're here to talk about Game of the Year 2020. So here's my personal rules. 1, the game has to have released this year, or it has to have been first localized or published officially this year. I operate on like the North American release of a game, and stuff that didn't ever come out until recently, even if it was developed and released in like Japan years ago, I count it for this year. No updated versions of previously released games, so that's like, I would never include like a Game of the Year edition on here, or Persona 5 Royal. If I had played that, I wouldn't count that, because that feels duplicative to Persona 5. Stuff like that. I don't put any remakes or remasters on unless they are significantly different from the original. That is arbitrary, and that is very much up to my own discretion, but the example I go to is something like Shadow of the Colossus on PS4. I would not count, because even though it's like new engine, it uses a lot of the old code and is designed to replicate that experience just much more smoothly. But something like, say, the Final Fantasy VII remake, which is about to show up in a slide we're going to go to, or in a screen we're going to go to, does count, because it's functionally entirely different from the original game. Trav, my dude, hello, welcome in. How you doing? And as always, this is all just for fun. Lists are extremely fun and extremely arbitrary and dumb, so it's up to me to make up the rules and bend them as I see fit, and we all just love games, and we're all just going to talk about games. Rusty, I think what you mean to say is that I have standards. I care about my games. I'm not just like, oh yeah, whatever I played. Frantic, I'm honored, my dude. Honor that you'd put me up. No, you can hijack chat all you want. We're all here to just hang out and talk about games or whatever we want to. All right. This next one is to ease my guilt. It's to ease my guilt because despite my best effort, I could not play everything I really wanted to. This is not all-inclusive, but this is a handful of the things that I wish I had the time for, but just didn't have time to get around to. Games that I think, based on my own tastes, had a chance of making it in the top 10, but I just didn't have a chance to play. Stuff like Yakuza and Cyberpunk. I'm waiting on PS5 versions. I don't have a method of playing Half-Life Alyx. I don't have like PC VR that's that good, or really a PC that could run it at all. Miles Morales, I ended up playing Spider-Man Remastered instead of Miles Morales, so I never got around to it. It's painful, I know. And then there's just a bunch of indie stuff I also really wanted to play, but I didn't have a chance to. So I'm sorry to you, my friends, on this slide. I'm not perfect. That's good, Lynn. All right, so Nintai's sad about my list before he's even seen the contenders. So with that, let's drop down to Yakuza. Might be the one that I think has the best chance of, in an alternate universe, having made it into my top 10. I think that one would have been really high if I had played it. Heck yeah, dude. If you play it before I do, Dan, let me know what you think of Paradise Killer. It's like, it's like Danganronpa, basically. Or Ace Attorney. It's a lot of things, though. It just looks cool. Alright, so with that, boom. Welcome to the list, people. These are the 30 games, roughly 30 games that I played this year. That are contenders for Game of the Year 2020. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Steve, please. You just listed all those fancy rules, and you have Tony Hawk 1 and 2 and Demon's Souls here? Those are both exact remakes of games that came out earlier. And you know what I would say to you? You're right. Thank you for calling me on that. I never intended to include those on this list, but I wanted them mentioned somehow because they were both very fun. They never stood a chance of actually making my top 10. They're only here for us to bow down to them and say thank you to both of those incredible games. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But yeah, we can't abide those. Those would be cheating. But wouldn't it feel wrong to not give a shout out to Demon's Souls? What an incredible remake that is. I mean, maybe the prettiest game I've ever played. So much better than the original. So good. But it's out of here. Same with Tony Hawk 1 and 2. I will actually say it was a lot of fun going back and revisiting Tony Hawk 1 and 2, but sometimes I actually felt kind of overwhelmed by like all the menus and stuff that they added. There was just so much layered on top. So much just layered on top. But Tony Hawk is amazing. Obviously that soundtrack absolutely slaps. But just like with Demon's Souls, it's not truly eligible. I just couldn't. Oh, people are like in row 3. These are put up completely randomly. They're not in any order. They're not in order of heart score. They're not in the order that I played them. They're just in the order that I happened to rearrange the icons. So truly A truly random starting point for us. Row 3. People love that row 3. Row 3 it is. Yes, correct. Lindis has it exactly. Moon was localized for the first time this year. Moon is very specifically why I added that rule. Because I was kind of in my head about how to handle stuff like that. Stuff that, you know, was developed and usually released in Japan many, many years ago, but never came out here. And I settled on if it's localized in English for the first time, it counts as a 2020 release. Oh, Ross, you're going to love Demon's Souls. It's so good. Have you played the other Dark Souls games? Or is this your first? Let's make a bloodbath and put Last of Us 7, Paper Mario, and 13 Sentinels on one row. Oh, if it's your first one, oh, you're going to have so much fun. I cannot wait to hear about that. All right, so let's talk through these a little bit. Let's just give each of them, you know, let's touch on them, feel them out, and then we'll start making the hard cuts. Oh, here, let me show you Lindis. It was, let's pull it back up for you. I'm down to help out here. Pull it back up. Pop, pop. So here's the previous slide. If you're talking about Paradise Killer in the lower right, or the one that's obscured by chat, which I'll briefly hide from y'all. These two are If Found and Umurangi Generation. If Found is like a visual novel published by Annapurna Interactive. And Umurangi Generation is like a photo game. It's like weird cyber punky Pokemon Snap, basically. Looks really cool. All right, let's get that chat back. Let's get that out of there. Couldn't agree with you more, Dan. Couldn't agree with you more. Nostalgic Dan. Now, Zugbar, you should play Demon's Souls. Alright, so Disc Room. If anybody hasn't played Disc Room, it's actually a really chill game. It is like a top-down dodging. It's basically a precision platformer, but it's kind of like imagine if you were in like a Binding of Isaac room or like a Zelda room, and you just had to, all you had to do was dodge saw blades. It's really cool, and the story does some really interesting things. They get creative. Yeah, I feel Ghost Runner was like, I watched a demo of that and it looked amazing, and I love Mirror's Edge, but I feel like it just kind of came and went. Nobody talked about it, so I don't know if it wasn't good or what. TY and TY. Hyperdot. So Hyperdot is on Game Pass, or it was on Game Pass. And if you ever liked the pacifism mode in Geometry Wars 2, where you were just dodging stuff the whole time, it's just like a really chill version of that. Very like simple colors, simple designs, very pretty. Some like electronic music playing in the background. It's like a really good Zen game. It was one of the games that I was playing during my more stressful first half of the year. So really good. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Gosh, sequel to one of the best platformers ever. Somehow they managed to make another tearjerker. I don't know how they did it, but it like takes everything the first one did and builds on it and improves it. Epic score. You're probably going to hear some music from that, actually. So we're listening to a chill music playlist, all calming, relaxing video game music from 2020 games. And I imagine it's gonna actually, I already know it has had some Ori music, so yeah, enjoy that chill music. All right, what else we got? I did not make the playlist myself. I stole it from someone who was kind enough to post it. But enjoy the chill tunes. Call of the Sea. Y'all probably watched me stream that if you stop by the stream. If not, very cool puzzle exploration game. Extremely pretty. Bright, vivid colors. Just like gorgeous setting. And then some pretty clever puzzles and a really interesting story. That one exceeded my expectations. It was better than what I thought it was gonna be. Hotshot Racing is a really cool arcade racer. Friend of the stream, Jason Heine, did the music. If you enjoy the song that plays in the first 5 minutes of every single one of my streams, and you want to hear more music from that guy, you should play Hotshot Racing. Really cool throwback to older, more arcadey racing games. Good sense of speed. It's a lot of fun, especially in multiplayer. It's a lot of fun. We got Made of Skur. It's a spooky game. It's very scary. This is too spooky. Honestly, pretty underrated horror game from this year. Really good scares. The first couple hours of Made of Skur are like some of the best horror in the last decade. You know, maybe not quite as scary as something like Resident Evil 7 in VR, but it is good. There's only a couple games on this list you'd fight me over if I picked it as game of the year. So what you all don't see on a stream like this, any heckling that doesn't happen in the chat, as soon as I turn the stream off and I go out there, Sprite will have plenty of heckling to do. Exactly. He has royalty-free stuff that you can use in all your music, or use in all your podcasts, videos, stuff like that. I wonder if this is the... Is that it? Yeah. He has a website. He actually, I think on his website now, is offering services to help people with their like audio projects. If you want someone to master or edit podcasts and stuff, he'll help you out. Oh. Shout out to Jason. Yeah, Made of Skur, really good horror game. Really cool. Probably my favorite one that we played this October, I would say, during Horror Month. Got The Last Campfire. Oh, The Last Campfire. This is the game that nobody's talking about. So, this is a like a side project by a portion of the developers from Hello Games. When they don't want to be working on No Man's Sky, they made The Last Campfire, and it's like really charming, really cute indie puzzler that, I don't know, it's just got a lot of heart. It's very sweet. It's very just like kind, fun game. I liked it a lot. It really just had a feel to it. Comfy indie game. Yeah, true. If you go into my profile down below, is that episode's out already, right? Yeah. You go down into the profile and click on the Indie Quest little banner there. You can listen to me talk about that on an episode of the show. It's really great. Scully. What a surprise game Scully was. This is something I bought on Amazon because it was freaking $15. And I don't know, it's got a funny name. It's got a kind of a novel cover. We popped it in, we knew nothing. What a surprise. What a great sense of movement. Great, like just great control. A lot of fun to control. Really good. Final Fantasy VII Remake. So here's my history of the 7 Remake. Anyone that knows me, I was a little bit of a naysayer on Final Fantasy VII. I didn't have any expectations for it. I was like, it's gonna blow. There's no reason for it to exist. Who cares? It's gonna just disappoint. It's taking forever to come out, and it's not gonna deliver what people want it to. And I had to 100% gobble down my own foot, because it was gorgeous. It was a ton of fun. It like did actual interesting things with the narrative of Final Fantasy VII, both fleshing it out and otherwise. And what a soundtrack. What a fire soundtrack it has. Maybe the best of the year? Maybe? Only tied, I think, by... would any of these tie? Only by Ori. I think Ori would be the only other contender there. Yeah, really good. Fall Guys, I feel like people have long stopped talking about Fall Guys, but it was, I don't know, it kind of was like Animal Crossing, where it was just sort of there for people when they needed it. It was a lot of goofy fun. I remember the first day that I downloaded Fall Guys, and Sprite and I were playing it. Every round we were laughing so hard that, like, it was the kind of laughter where you can't breathe and the back of your throat is starting to get like raw because it's like getting stretched because you can't stop laughing. It was so good. 13 Sentinels is, I mean, this, people have been hearing me rave about this game more recently, but 13 Sentinels is like the visual novel of the year. Honestly, probably the best story of the year. It's gorgeous. It's so well like written and designed. It blows my mind to them having to put together the narrative structure of this game, because they had to write an interesting story. They had to split it up between 13 characters so that each character individually has their own interesting story, but then the larger narrative is interesting too. Then they chopped up that, and they like you don't experience it all like A to B. You experience it hopping around at different points during the different events of the story. And they had to find a way to link all of those things together. Like, one character has to have a memory or a thought that reminds them of this thing that happened in the past. It's so smart, and it's just like, oh, it's the coolest story that I played this year. Also, it also has a really solid soundtrack. It's so good. See, Dan knows what's up. 13 Sentinels is just that game is going to get swept under the rug, and I don't want to hear all you 10 years from now coming back to me and being like, have you heard of 13 Sentinels? It's a real hidden gem. I'm going to be like, tell your story walking, buddy. A reference to the 2020 stream where I was singing its praises. Amnesia Rebirth. Honestly, a pretty worthy follow-up to the original Amnesia, I think. They did some cool new stuff with it. Definitely scary, and some cool narrative hooks, twists, I guess. I liked it. It was very good. Two horror games, too. 2 horror games in 1 year? That seems pretty surprising for me. Again, a product of the stream, probably. Although I was always destined to play a sequel to my favorite horror game of all time. Moon. Oh my gosh, what can I say about Moon? Moon is cheating, so anyone that's listened to the last Polykill, we did our top 5 non-2020 games. And I put Moon on that list too, because it came out in 1997. But it was localized and officially released for the first time in English in 2020. Just, there's no other game like this. It calls itself an anti-RPG, but it feels more like a point-and-click adventure. It's a lot more puzzle solving. And yeah, the idea of you like following in the footsteps of an RPG protagonist, sort of like mending the damage that they cause as they go through the world, it's so unique. It's so one of a kind. And then it's got like this really quirky, weird, just like feel to it. Like there's just like something in the air in this world. And then on top of that, the visuals are really interesting, almost like claymation almost. It's so cool. It's like one of a kind, truly one of a kind. And that game more than any other, I was constantly taking my Switch and going over to Leah and being like, Leah, look at this. Isn't this funny? Isn't this weird? Isn't this cool? God, I love that game. Love that game. Bugsnax. Bugsnax is Bugsnax. It's Bugsnax. What can you say? It was simultaneously what I wanted it to be, and it was also something totally its own. They do a lot more with the story of Bugsnax than I was expecting them to do. A lot more. And yeah, just fun to run around that island, figure it, like puzzle out how to collect all the different Bugsnax and things like that. Like feeding all the different creatures, different Bugsnax, transform them. It's just, what a perfect first PS Plus game to come out, right? Like, just doesn't really show off the PS5 at all, but it's just so cool. Polykill is great. And I mean, we cannot bash that Bugsnax theme song. Everyone's talking about Bugsnax. Yes. The only thing that Bugsnax truly does wrong is that you don't hear the theme song until the very end, until the credits. I don't want to wait that long. Thankfully, it's on YouTube. All right, next up we got Takeshi and Hiroshi. This is an indie game that's on the Switch. Really, really cool concept for this game. There's two brothers. The one on the left is the older brother, and the one on the upper right of that icon is the younger brother. The younger brother is like in the hospital. He just like kind of that stereotype of someone that just like is easily made ill, and so they have to like spend a lot of time resting and recuperating. And the older brother is developing a JRPG that the younger brother is like playtesting and really enjoys. And the younger brother gets frustrated when he dies, and so you as the older brother are like in real time kind of manipulating the fights that the younger brother encounters in this JRPG in order to like make it feel very difficult but not too hard or too easy. It's a short game. It only takes a couple hours to play through, but it was a really cool idea. Really cool idea. Oh boy, Super Meat Boy Forever. All right, Super Meat Boy Forever. Trav, are you around? Have you played Super Meat Boy Forever? I'm curious if you have. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say about Super Meat Boy Forever. Easily my most anticipated game, probably the last 5 years. Probably. And it's not a Super Meat Boy game in the way you'd expect. So it's a very good game. Very good game. I don't even know if I would say I'm disappointed. I think it's just I have to reset my expectations for what I'm receiving. So Super Meat Boy, and I said this in the Discord, but Super Meat Boy is a game that is about very fast, very precise platforming. Super Meat Boy Forever, for anyone that doesn't know, is an endless runner, and it is much more fast, precise puzzle solving. It's less about can you make this jump, and like, can you get from A to B, and it's a lot more can you figure out how to get from A to B, which is a different challenge. It's just not the same if you're looking for more Super Meat Boy. And that makes sense, honestly. When you think about it, Super Meat Boy came out at a time where it was doing something pretty unique. And these days, there's a lot more games like that, you know? Things like Celeste kind of like expanded on that idea. So they went in a different direction with it. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. It controls like so well. But then they made this really weird design decision. It's it's randomized and seeded. So every time you start a new file, you get a random set of levels. And yours won't be the same as someone else's. They can input the seed to get them, but won't be the same. And the like hidden things to find, the pacifiers in this game, which are like the equivalent of the bandages in the first game, may or may not appear in a level based on like what section of levels were used to build that randomized levels. They call them blocks, and every level is made up of like 5 blocks. So you might play through the entire game, collect everything that can be collected, and you'll maybe only have 1/10 of the total collectibles possible in the game. Or you maybe only have even the option to unlock 1 or 2 characters out of dozens of characters that can be unlocked. And so you need to do new game pluses. You need to keep playing new games over and over and over again to unlock everything. Very strange. I mean, makes sense from like hey, it's streamable, but you get less of that satisfaction of perfecting everything, which I liked in the first Super Meat Boy. But still a like phenomenal game in its own right. If it didn't have the Super Meat Boy name on it, I think I would have so much praise for it, but because it has the Super Meat Boy name on it, I struggle to divorce my expectations for a Super Meat Boy game with what I played. It's very, very weird. We'll come back to that. All right, Alwa's Legacy. This is the sequel to Alwa's Awakening, which was basically an NES homebrew game. And it's actually getting an NES version here soon. And it's just, I don't know, it's like a really good Metroidvania in an NES style. It's a lot of fun. I speedran the first one, and yeah, it's just like a real, if you want to play something that's like kind of like a Metroid game, that sort of like lives in that in-between between NES and Super Nintendo, Alwa's Legacy is really good. This song is called Phoenix's Dawn from Immortals Phoenix Rising. Another game I didn't play this year, but solid song. Alright, Panzer Paladin is a really cool side-scrolling, I guess 2D action platformer. Hello, you're super interested in the Alwa's games. They've been on your list for a while. They're both really good. They're a lot of fun. I really fell in love with Alwa's Awakening, and then Legacy feels like just like a solid improvement to them. But they're both really good. I'm excited for the NES version that's coming out for Alwa's Legacy. Or for Alwa's Awakening, sorry. Oh, did it sound that negative, Trav? Because I don't mean to harp on Super Meat Boy. It's just I have a lot of, my head is a spinning. My head's a spinning on it. I really want you to play it because I want to talk to you about it. I wish we had a podcast where we could do that. But yeah, Panzer Paladin is a lot of fun to you. It's what's like Blaster Master, I guess, where you're in like a mech, but you can get out and run around as the little tiny person. Surprisingly long for a game in that style. Really great soundtrack, really fun. Just like a rock solid pixel art 2D platformer. Really, really cool. Astro's Playroom. Man, what a nostalgia trip Astro's Playroom is. Just if you grew up playing the PlayStation franchise, like console generations, if you have any love for those franchises, for those characters, for those systems, like this is the most direct like injection of nostalgia. Like, to go back to Trav saying Meat Boy found unresponsive, you would be found unresponsive because you'd have too much nostalgic adrenaline pumping through your veins after playing Astro's Playroom. It is, first of all, anyone that hasn't played Astrobot Rescue Mission in VR, it's probably the best PlayStation VR game, along with like Tetris Effect. And they take that like perfect 3D platforming controls. They put it in these like beautiful, bright, dense, colorful, nostalgic worlds with really high energy music. There is no better launch game. I think Astro's Playroom is the best launch game to come out for a console since Super Mario 64. It's perfect as a launch game, and I would never recommend anyone play anything else. We remember from your top 10 of the decade. You can Yeah, and here we are talking about Astros again, 2 times in a row. All right, the Pathless. Oh, the Pathless is really interesting. So this is exactly a game for me. Like, it is that sort of like indie artistic, like very minimal spoken dialogue type of game. Beautiful environments, like bright, vivid colors, but it strikes this really perfect balance. Normally a game that's like that, I think of like Abzu, which I just played, or Journey. Normally those types of games are very short, very condensed experiences. Thanks, Pam. But Pathless is a much bigger one. It's wide open. It's like take that idea and expand it to like a 15-hour game. And so you get this really interesting balance of like really high, beautiful, emotional peaks, and then really chill kind of like exploration, just like vibing middle grounds. Oh, Dusk, how's it going? Welcome in. And I said this on Twitter, it's like the perfect balance of a podcast game, something you can listen to a podcast and just like get lost and enjoy exploring, just enjoy the movement of, just enjoy being in the world of. But it's also not that sometimes. It's so cool. So cool. Absolutely loved it. You're at the end, aren't I? You are not at the end. We're just going through all of the theoretical contenders, and then we haven't even started paring it down yet. So we're going to be here a little while. All right, next up, Shady Part of Me. Shady Part of Me. This was, I think, announced. Maybe someone else knows if this was announced beforehand, but from my perspective, this was announced at the Game Awards. They had a trailer for it. I don't remember hearing about it before that. Maybe I did at GDQ. But anyways, to me, it was basically a surprise. Right afterwards, I went and downloaded it because it seemed like exactly my type of game. Really cool, like puzzle platformer, basically. You control 2 characters. You control a girl and then the shadow of that girl. And the shadow is 2D and navigates across a light on the wall. And then the 3D character is... Oh, Ross, thank you so much. It's Prime time, baby. 3 months of Prime. It was very good. Pam's video was really fun. I just had watched it a couple hours before the stream here. Pam, you or if anyone wants to drop a link to it, please feel free to have people check it out. Pam has very good taste in indie games. She's IndieQuest approved. But yeah, so you control these 2 characters. You control this 3D character that's avoiding light, and then this shadow character that can only exist in light. And you have to like manipulate sources of light to help both of them reach the end of each stage. Really cool. A lot of fun. Last of Us Part 2 is like, it's the game that you are really happy you played, but stresses you out. It's like, most of what I have to say about Last of Us Part 2 is not... It's me talking about how effective they were at making me stressed and anxious and how like brutal it is, but the actual minute-to-minute gameplay is as good as it's ever been for Last of Us. Really beautiful environments to explore, tons of cool stuff to find, like really tense situations that you're put into, a lot of freedom in how you approach them. Excellent script, excellent voice acting, like just triple A of triple A. So good. Really, really phenomenal. Maybe that's the perfect way of saying it. Yes, amazing, gorgeous, perfect, ruined our lives. All right, we got Crash 4. Crash 4, It's About Time. I was really happy that it's Toys for Bob, right, that did this one. I was happy that they were able to make a new Crash game, and I think they did a really good job. As far as platformers go, it is difficult, and it's meaty, and it's a lot of fun. It is, however, I think as life goes on, I determined that I'm more of a Spyro than a Crash guy. I think that's what I've ultimately really settled on. I've always known it, but I think I'm fine saying it. But it's a really great platformer, and if you played the Crash Insane trilogy and had a lot of fun with that, you'll have a lot of fun with Crash 4. All right. Crash Bandicoot 4. I won't cut you yet. We'll get through this, and then we'll talk. Alright, Paper Mario Origami King. I will defend this game. This is a good game. The world does not like Paper Mario the Origami King, and I'm here to tell you that it's good. If you go in expecting a Paper Mario game, it's a little bit underwhelming, I guess, if you want that RPG combat, but if you know that they've basically decided that Paper Mario isn't an RPG anymore, and you go in not fully expecting an RPG, you get a really interesting puzzle-based battle system that I thought was pretty smart and pretty unique. I know most people didn't like it, and that was kind of people's biggest complaints, but I actually really enjoyed the battle system. Also, some really good music. Really, really good music. All right, we got 2 more. Ghost of Tsushima. So I'm not all the way... This is one of the few on here that I haven't beaten, I think. Is this the only one here that I haven't beaten? As much as you can beat Fall Guys. Yeah, this is the only game on here I haven't beaten, and I'm in the middle of playing it right now. It is... I don't know, it's just... great. What can you say about it? I actually was not that interested in this game until a lot of people that I trust had a lot of very positive things to say about it. Obviously, the environments, the landscapes are gorgeous, beautiful, right up there with Last of Us, I think. It's surprising to me, it's not as much of a tune-out open world game as you might think. There's a lot to do, but there's so much story and so much character interaction and so much learning about this world and these people in it. It's just it's really phenomenal. It's so high production value, so cool. Ghosty T, you really enjoyed it? That's awesome. I forgot. Oh no, I remember that you played that. I knew that. I just got through the first island. You want to play, but you're going to wait until you have a PS5 in a couple of years? It's really nice on PS5 because there's the resolution and frame rate modes. And the resolution mode on the PS5 for me runs at 60 FPS anyways, so I can just have the best of both worlds. And thank you for linking the video, Trev. All right. And last of all, final roundup. Final game, Banjo-Kazooie: The Jiggies of Time. This was another stream game, so a lot of you might be familiar with it, but if not, this is a ROM hack of Banjo-Kazooie set in the Ocarina of Time levels and dungeons. The way... First of all, I mean, it's essentially a Banjo-Kazooie game because it uses that engine. But the way that they took the different locations, Kokiri Forest, Hyrule Field, the various temples and dungeons and things, and the way that they turned those into actual good, high-quality, dense 3D platforming worlds is so impressive. And for such a small team to do it, it's not just, oh, here's the novelty of Banjo-Kazooie in Ocarina of Time, it is like we have truly found a way to combine these two games. And then it's filled with other nods and references and little Easter eggs. It's such a full, complete game, and it was so much fun. And that brings us down. It's time to start making the hard cuts, right? Tell you what, we're going to take a 1-minute break. I'm going to leave you with these chill tunes. I'm going to get a refill on my beverage so that my throat doesn't go hoarse. Don't go anywhere, and then we will start making the hard cuts. All right, we're back, everybody. Story really picks up in Ghost after Act 1? Okay. And yes, Ross, these are not just like all the picks for 2020 Game of the Year, but this is everything that I have beaten that's a 2020 game. So, it is both. Super Meat Boy Forever after the eulogy I gave on it. We'll come back to Super Meat Boy Forever. Alright, so it's time to make the cuts, people. We have to say goodbye to something. I think there's a couple in here that I know they just don't stand a chance. They're just not going to make it to the final round. First, that's got to go Takeshi and Hiroshi. This is a really cool game. It's a lot of fun, but it does have some balancing issues. I wanted people to check it out because I think it's neat, but it's just... sometimes it's a little repetitive, and sometimes it feels like it could use a little bit more time in the cooker. It's also very slight and a pretty repetitive experience, so... Cool game, but not top 10 game of the year. What other easy cuts do we have? Honestly, not as many as you might expect. Don't be devastated. I don't want people to think that Super Meat Boy Forever is a bad game based on what I said. It's just, from someone that has had so much expectation and hype building up to it, for it to be so different, it was just, it just took an adjustment. All right, what other games can go for sure? This may surprise you because I'm a known platformer fan, but of all of these, I don't think Crash Bandicoot 4 is my hardcore platformer. Like I said, I've learned I'm more of a Spyro guy. And while this is extremely well made, very competent game, maybe it was the wrong game at the wrong time, but it just didn't quite wrap me up in the way that I wanted it to. So Crash 4, not a lock. I did almost cut Crash 4, that's true. All right. Another relatively easy cut. Honestly, what a good year. I don't feel that good about cutting any of these. And we need to get this list pared down. I think Disc Room, while very cool and a lot of fun, isn't quite going to make it into my top 10. It's not... It's not any fault of the game, to be honest. I feel like it was solid, but it didn't shake me in the way that I would have needed it to. Really, really fun, but not a core shaker. And there it is, my top 25. You made it just in time for final cuts. All right. Oh gosh, I know that we're gonna have to make some hard decisions, but it already feels hard. That can't be a good sign, right? I mean, to be clear, we're at the point where any one of these games would be a fine recommendation for someone to play. But I think, I think Hyperdot probably can't make it all the way to the end. I think Hyperdot's not a top 10. It's very cool and it's very chill. It's a lot of fun. But I'm looking at this list and it's a stacked year. Exactly, Dan. Fine recommendations, but not game of the year. Not one of the 10 games of the year. And yes, I was going to shout that out here in a little bit, but appreciate this beautiful, chill background. Acorn here in the chat, she made this yesterday, just like on a whim. Like she didn't even know how to make animated backgrounds. She's just like, oh, I'm just going to teach myself how to make these and make one for you. And here you go. It's so good. Like she literally never used the program before. You'll see more of her work in a second here when we get down to the top 10. Yeah, she did really good. All right. As long as we're talking about good games that aren't going to shake me to my core, Shady Part of Me, really fun, excellent puzzle platformer, but it is similar enough to things like Limbo that I've seen before. I don't think it's going to quite make it all the way to my final cuts, so we'll say thank you to Shady Part of Me for being a fun game and a relatively easy platinum, and we'll thank it for its service. Goodbye. Next up here that I'm sad that we have to cut, I would love to be very counterculture and pick Paper Mario, the Origami King, as one of my top 10 games, to stick it to everybody that doesn't like this game, but it does drag a little bit. It's fun, but I won't lie in saying that it doesn't kind of overstay its welcome or shuffle its feet a bit during some of the middle parts. Really cool, but would have been just as fun if it was half the length, I think. Too easy? It was pretty easy. It actually has a little bit of a balancing problem, I find, where, you know, the battles are all set up on these turnstiles, these 3 rings that you can rotate around to line up enemies. And they very specifically make it so that every fight can, theoretically, be beaten basically in one turn if you figure out all the right moves in the first round. And so that feels really good to do. But if you don't figure that out, they can really drag on. Oh my gosh, Pam! Thank you. Enjoy the emote of me falling into a pit. Sorry that I'm not making... Actually, I was going to say sorry that I'm not making any blunders for you to enjoy it this time, but when we come down to the cuts that people don't agree with, maybe it will come back up. Alright. So we said our piece, we said thank you to Paper Mario, but it's gotta go. Alright. So I think that this is impossible. What a stacked year. I was so overconfident at the beginning of this year. I was like, this is not going to be a year that is like undefeatable. Like, this is going to be a year with 3 or 4 good games, and then the rest I'm kind of space filling. But it's not. It's really a solid year. 2019 might have edged it out a little bit, but 2020, rock solid. Oh boy. I feel like we have 2 in the center that I hate to see go, but before we get to that, you can tell we officially hit the spot where my heart doesn't know what to do. Be ruthless. Oh my gosh. I can't be ruthless. I love them all so much. I love all my children. I don't think that both of these, again, and I'm going to be such an apologist for all these games. Again, there is no bad game left. This is all chef's kiss joy. But I think both Alwa's Legacy and Panzer Paladin are like rock solid experiences that just don't quite elevate to that point for me. So I think we'll say goodbye to Alwa's Legacy and to Panzer Paladin, but really both of those are very good. Some of these are quite tricky. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wait, what? That can't be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We have to cut almost half of these games. Almost half of these games. My gosh. Again, I really would like to give it the shout out, but it does have some frustrating parts, and I just don't know that Scully is going to make it across the finish line. I think Scully has to go. But people should play Scully. I enjoyed Scully. Games of the Decade was hard. We do appreciate Scully for everything it was. It was a gift, but it exists in a top 20, you know? Not in a top 10. It's the harsh world we live in. Alright, I feel like we have a decision to make here. We've got 2 games. We've got Maid of Sker and Amnesia Rebirth. There's no world where both of these make it onto my list. I don't even know if one of them is going to make it on. But if I have to choose between these 2... Gosh, it's hard. These are actually both pretty excellent survival horror games. Maid of Sker has a really great start. It does sort of trip up a little bit here and there, and like there's a little bit towards the end that isn't quite as scary, as long as you have your headphones in the right ear. But Amnesia Rebirth, you know, maybe it's Amnesia Rebirth that goes. I don't know. I think, honestly, here's where I'm at. I think I liked Maid of Sker more, but I wanted to like Amnesia more. They're both good, though. They're both good. I think I'm trying to leave Amnesia Rebirth on here because I have so much fondness for the original Amnesia. We're here to cut Trav down. And I think that that's not the right way to approach it, right? Like, you don't want to give representation to other games from previous years when they release a sequel. So I think the survival horror cut is Amnesia Rebirth. Even though it's got a very cool story, it's a lot of fun. But that's not a lock. Like, Maid of Sker is not a lock. But it lives for now. It lives for now. It survived the second round, let's say. Alright, so let's see here. Let's move some of these around. Feel them out. Pathless. Wow, what a harsh year. Scooch these down. What a good year, though. All right. So we have ourselves 16 great games. We need to get it down to 10. 6 of these have to go. Six of them. You know what my heart is telling me the first one that needs to go off of this list is? There's actually 2. First, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of stands for this game in the chat, but Ghost of Tsushima. I just don't know that I had enough time to get into the meat of where it really gets good. It's fun. It's incredibly solid and I see potential in it, but from my experience thus far, I don't know that I would put it above 10 other games here. So I think it's time to say goodbye to Ghost. I mean, these are just designed for you to watch me squirm, right? So we say goodbye to Ghost of Tsushima. We're sorry to see it go. But it's gone. You see 3 games I can get rid of? I see like -4 games that I can get rid of. All right, let's do the inverse here. We have whoa, Top Spot. Top Spot. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the 3 months. Always appreciate a top spot drive-by. What was the hardest one to cut? Ooh, good question so far. There's been a lot of hard cuts so far. I don't feel great about Amnesia Rebirth going. But it had to go. Oh my gosh, you guys. I have a secret game for you, a bonus game. I hid 2 behind my picture. I've been hiding these from you the whole time to make it even harder. Spinch is it's a side-scrolling platformer. It's not a top 10 game. It's fun and it's cool, really bright, vivid visuals that are just like psychedelic, but oh my gosh, it's got terrible balancing. The last level is so hard. I spent more time trying to beat the final level than the entire rest of the game combined. So that's not a real contender. But Hades is a real contender. Hades is tagged in from the ropes and is an honest contender for our Game of the Year. Oh, all right. And I think it's fair to say that there's just no other games that can be cut. There's just none. We've achieved perfection. This is the list. This is the top 10. All right. You know, it's time to make some difficult decisions. I don't know if Hotshot Racing makes it. Hotshot Racing is phenomenal. It's really good, but I enjoyed, I think, the experience of playing it with people more. I enjoyed the conversations and the fun I had playing it with people than I actually had with the game itself. Yeah, as a single-player experience, it is a little slight, so. We'll say thank you to Hotshot Racing. We love your soundtrack, but you don't quite make it. You don't have to defend Hotshot. Hotshot is good. Aw. I don't... That game's really good. Just because you haven't played it and because it's a racing game, I don't want people to think that it's a snoozer. Should I make you nervous by what I click on? Mm-mm. All right. Tricky. Maybe we need to approach this from the other angle at this point. You know, we're down to 15. We need to approach it from some locks. Don't destroy your house just because made a skir. Poor wife will be like, wow, he's so strong. All right, let's say what would be an absolute embarrassment if it wasn't in the top 10. I'm not hard locking these, but hard score, these ones I'd have to really do some thinking to not see them up there. Hades is going in. I've played so much of Hades this year. It's so much fun. I keep going back to it, watching Sprite play it. It's just been a lot of fun. Exactly. Ross has got it. 13 Sentinels is a lock. I love this story so much. Real, like... Vanillaware's best game. I like it more than Odin Sphere, and I love Odin Sphere. So... No, Lindis, you missed when Hades rushed out from the crowd. It was just hiding for it, waiting for its dramatic reveal. All right, that's all it was. The other one was a game called Spinch. Not great. But don't worry, guys. That's all of the hidden games. There's none left. We've landed on everything. We're down to the ones that we need to cut, right? Everything that's left, we know about. Wait, what's this? Who's this peeking out through the corner? What? Oh! Another challenger arrives. All right. I'm done joking. All the hidden games are revealed now, too. We need to keep placing a couple of, like, obvious, pretty strong locks. So, Hades is up there. 13 Sentinels is up there. Astro's Playroom is a pretty safe lock. Pretty safe lock. For me, I'm pretty sure Moon is a lock. It's pretty hard not to see Moon in this list. Which brings us down to making more cuts. Tricky, tricky. Astro is Clank and Sackboy's baby. That's my headcanon. I respect that. I'm down for that. That's a solid headcanon. Okay, so... hear me out. Fall Guys is one of a kind. And it did what it needed to do. But I don't know if Fall Guys is a top 10 game of the year. They have done well adding new content and stuff, but I would have liked an even stronger refresh cycle on things. And I don't know that it makes it. So much fun, but so are a lot of these. You fought for Pokemon Go, but not Fall Guys? Pokemon Go I would rank above Fall Guys every day of the week. Not a second thought in my mind. Easy choice. So I think Fall Guys is a strong candidate to be cut. I think it has to go. Well, that's not necessarily solid logic, because that's of the decade versus of this year. Oh, I feel bad saying goodbye to Fall Guys. This has been the hardest cut so far. I do think it goes. It's more like I don't want to press the button. It's hard. Cutting Final Fantasy VII Remake. What? Thank you, Fall Guys. I appreciate you. You want him to hang and watch? All right, we can tuck him up here. Tuck him up. All guys can watch the year that they've created. Yeah, if it's cut, it's not showing on the screen right now. All right, so Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Why don't you step up to the stage, Ori? Why don't you step up to the stage and find your way up towards the top, because I'm pretty sure you're a lock. I think Ori stays. Ori had me weeping. Ori had me weeping. Just a beautiful game. An amazing sequel. So good. Now, we brought him in and we didn't really give him his time to shine. So let's talk Sackboy for a minute. Sackboy is a really good launch game. It has a lot of charm. It is... it has such texture to all the levels, right? Like, everything just feels so believably crafted and put together. I think that they did a really good job turning Little Big Planet into like a structured game. And I'm not a huge Little Big Planet fan, so I have a lot of good things to say about Sackboy for getting me into the series. But I don't think that I think it's a little too slow, and I don't even think that it's the best platformer left uncut. So I think Sackboy has to go away. Thank you, Sackboy. Not sure why they... You've only played 2 of the games still up for judgment. What are the 2 that you've played? I'm assuming Call of the Sea is one. Yeah, it's certainly, in a different world, it would be Game of the Year, but I don't think it is this year. Okay, so we have 5. If I was to just like... If I was to build my list, it would not leave any of these out. It would just include them all. These are all good. You guys, there's no bad, nothing can be cut. Everything is phenomenal. This is impossible. In 2 to 3 years, will it still have any relevance? I think Bugsnax is more than the memes that it was. It's actually pretty cool. I don't know. I feel like here's where I'm at. I think if we're looking at these, I feel like Last of Us and Final Fantasy VII probably belong in the Game of the Year. I like them both a lot. And I think my only hesitation to lock them in at this point is that it leaves only 3 slots left for these other games. Gosh. If I'm being honest with myself, the next one that comes out into the locks is Banjo-Kazooie Jiggies of Time. Like, what an unbelievably well-made fan game. Like, just blows my mind how cool it is. That would be the one that would be the most painful not to see in there. I think it might belong in there. So Super Meat Boy. Am I even? Who am I even? If Super Meat Boy isn't in this list. Are we really in the timeline where I'm about to cut Super Meat Boy from my top 10 games of the year? What have I built? What has this all been for if Super Meat Boy doesn't make the cut? It's like, on one hand, have I been living a lie? But on the other hand, maybe I'm emerging from my cocoon and I'm going to be a better version of myself. Imagine the world where Super Meat Boy is my number 2 game of the decade. And Super Meat Boy Forever isn't in the top 10 of 2020. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I'm about to do. I'm sorry, Super Meat Boy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is it recency bias along with name recognition that keeps it still here? It's just, it's hard to get out of an abusive relationship, I'm telling you. It's a really good game. It's like a 9 out of 10. There's nothing that's below a 9 out of 10 left. We have 5 games left. I think we're at the point where Made of Skur doesn't hold up. I mean, I hate to do this back to back to you, Trev. Super Meat Boy followed by Made of Skur, but I mean, you look at these 4 games right here, and these scream my name. These are my games. These are my people, all right? These games get me. But I just don't know that Made of Skur quite gets there. Okay, comparing it to Astro's Playroom was your first mistake. Get out of here. That you would come into my house and get into my face. I brought you into the world of Maid of Sker, all right? You were a pathetic nobody. You knew nothing about Maid of Sker until I came around. And now you come back to me and you tell me how to treat Maid of Sker? See yourself out. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting next episode of Polykill. Maid of Sker, I'm sorry. Oh. We've got 4 left. So here's what my heart wants to say. Couple of double packs, and then we're good to go. This is a hard year, and we still have to rank them, and honestly, I don't know what could even be. I have no idea about the order at this point. No idea. That's cheating. I can't make a double pack? So I think this is where my head's at. I think... Wow, is that true? I really want The Last Campfire to be up there. A lot of these games I want to get recognition because I love them so much. And yes, hello, Sleepy S'more. How you doing? Welcome to watching me squirm. Unless you've been lurking, in which case, enjoy continuing to watch me squirm. This is hard. This is hard. I think... Call me crazy. Is Bugsnax the first of these to get cut? Thank you, Top Spot, for doing that. Thank you, Trav. I think Bugsnax is the one that goes. This isn't easy, though. This isn't easy. Because I keep having the same train of thought in my head. I keep wanting to pull The Last Campfire up and put it here. Because it was just, I don't know, it was just the right game at the right time for me. It was so perfect. It was like, it's just like simple and like positive and gorgeous, and it's a very sweet game. But I pull that up and then I think, okay, now we only have 1 spot left. And then I think, oh gosh, I want to pull up Pathless then because I love Pathless so much. And then my immediate thought when I pull those 2 up in my head is, well, what about Call of the Sea? Which means that Bugsnax is the fourth one that comes in that train of thought. And I don't know if that means that these are the two that stay, but I think that Bugsnax being the fourth one up there in my mind means that Bugsnax goes. Bugsnax is amazing. It's amazing. But I think it's out. Don't say Scoopy Banoopy. Don't say Scoopy Banoopy. You know that I turn into jelly when you say Scoopy Banoopy. Which one of these games would I want to play right at this second again? Ooh, good question. I was much more confident until you dropped the old Scoopy Banoop on me. I mean, let's just sit on this for a second. What if these were the 10? What if we just called it there? What if we just said, okay, here's 10 great games? Let's sit with that for a second, shall we? I mean, maybe it's not a top 10 for you, but... Yeah, the only thing that this has settled for me is that I do think Bugsnax goes. These three are really hard. I essentially love them equally. That's what makes it so tricky. That's hard. This is surprisingly stressful music for this decision. Surprisingly stressful music for this decision. Legit surprised Campfire and Pathless over Call of the Sea. Or even Moon. Definitely Moon goes above those ones. I mean, these three kind of are all interchangeable. I keep looking up and seeing if there's space to cut one from the existing list, and I don't think there is. I think those 7 are in. How does this feel? How does that feel? Yeah, is Fall Guys a contender again all of a sudden? Alright. It's not. Fall Guys, thank you for your time. I feel like I really want Last Campfire up there, but I can't really verbalize why. Maybe that's the truest heart score. Like, I look at Call of the Sea and I look at Pathless, and I can be a little more logical about why I put them where I do. Like, a little more analytical. But Last Campfire is just a gut thing. I'm just like, it just belongs up there. And I know that there are other games like it, but it just like really hit exactly what it needed to. I don't know. But Call of the Sea is such a treat. I'd hate to see Call of the Sea go. Oh. You know, though, if I'm looking at it from the perspective of the gameplay itself, Call of the Sea and Pathless do more. Pathless has this really interesting blend of open world meets like indie artsy design. Giant Squid is so effective, and the Austin Wintory soundtrack, oh my gosh. And Call of the Sea is just so clever. It's beautiful, and the puzzles are smart, and it's interesting. Maybe that's it. Maybe Last Campfire has a soft spot in my heart, but is the 11th best game of 2010. That might be where we are. If Bugsnax comes back, it cuts Call of the Sea, and I just don't know that it does. Oh, but remember when we were playing Bugsnax and we found the abominable bugs monster? Bugfoot? We traveled back to 2010? Is this it? Is this it? Oh, did I say 2010? My bad. 2020. 2020. This might be it. It's hard to see Bugsnax and Last Campfire off this list. But there's no way to build it where they're all included, right? I think this is it. I think we've settled on the 10. Now, we have to rank them. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tuck these all. We're going to block the chat for a minute. Actually, we're going to hide behind the chat for a minute. Let's block the chat for a minute. Chat box, you come on down. You're the next contestant. There we go. We scooch him. We scooch him. Animal Crossing music certainly is a contender, but I did not play Animal Crossing. Not an Animal Crossing guy. Alright, y'all. Get these out of the way. Tuck this up there. Oh, Sleepy S'more, thank you for the subscription. You're too kind. Thank you for the 2020 drop emote as well. Thank you, thank you. And now, we reveal the bracket. We've got to get games into this bracket. Before we do that, though, let's take another very brief break. And don't go anywhere, and I'll be back in literally 1 minute. Thanks again, Sleepy S'more. You rock. Alright, it's time to organize. Time to put these games in order. Just in time for some Tifa's theme. Alright. What are we thinking? I feel like let's sort of like group them. Yeah, so you say solid middle. Number 5 right away. I don't, but I think we can kind of group them into a couple of these into easier buckets. I think Call of the Sea and Pathless are probably towards the bottom. I think Hades is towards the top. I think 13 Sentinels towards the top. That's a good starting point, I think. A Red Bull at this hour? Well, yeah, I woke up at noon today, Trav. I've been awake for 9 hours. I'm not going to go to bed till 4 in the morning. I'm good. Yes, there is, Sleepy. We have to rank them now. It's true. So let's tuck in these two at the bottom slots. For now. No, we're not married to the exact placement, the exact order. Do you think it's harder to experience or harder to watch? I don't know. Who's braver, me or all of you? Probably all of you. Yeah, look at these crispy slots. Who's that talented artist that made those? I don't know about Pathless Call of the Sea. Also, isn't there an 11 here? Weren't we going to put Bug Snacks or Less Campfire there? I thought, wasn't there an 11? All right. What do we got here? I feel like I really liked Last of Us Part 2, but is it going to beat all these games? I don't know. 8 might be too low for Last of Us, but we're going to put Last of Us there for now. That is you and Courtney. Oh my gosh. Ori feels like it would comfortably... Ori feels like maybe a number 5. Maybe it's a number 4. I mean, we know these bottom two. This is a hard year. You know, I feel like... Do any of you feel this way, where sometimes in a year there's like a really obvious number 1 or first 1 and 2, and then you have to order the rest? I don't have that this year. I really don't know. Oh, don't be judging. The judges and executioner, jury and executioner. All right. What's a reasonable contender for number 1? Is it any of these? Moon is great. I don't think it is ever going to be number 1. It's high, but it's not 1. It might be like a 4. A lot of games feel like 4s this year. These ones are contenders. Gosh, Astro's Playroom is incredible, but can it be my game of the year over these other two? Yes, it can. It's my list. Probably Hades of What You Know of Everything. Yeah, I feel like it could be Hades. Definitely could be. You had no idea what your number 1 game would be until it came in clutch in December. I don't want to necessarily give it away if you want people to watch the video, but I did want to play that before the end of the year. I wish I had. All right. Now, what feels like a number 7? Of these, what feels like a 7? Or is Last of Us too low? No. Banjo might be 7. No, I don't know if it's 8. Seems so low for Banjo. You've got a compelling point. A very compelling point. I'm gonna set these both in the middle here because I'm not committed to the order yet. Alright, let's just throw something out and see how it feels. What if we did this? We're just getting pencil to the paper here, alright? We're just seeing what fits. Is this it? No. But is this a start? Yes. Do we just put them all in the number 1 slot top? Oh boy. All right. What feels wrong about this? Something feels off. Something feels off. Last of Us too low. Is The Last of Us too low? I struggle with Ori and The Last of Us a bit. They feel off, but I don't know how I would move them higher. Those ones are the ones that are more, I guess, grounded, and they're such sequels. I don't know. Swap Ori and The Last of Us? That seems wrong. Seems wrong. Oh, top. I would not marry yourself to the top of this pyramid yet. I think any of those top 3 games are contenders. Really feels like 13 Sentinels and Hades are fighting for number 1, but even if I am on Hades' payroll, that's a good employer to have, I tell ya. Do not at Steve. Oh, I appreciate everyone being so upset. What if... Hear me out. What if we did this? What if we moved... Pathless up... and Last of Us down? No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Those are the bottom 2. I still don't even have full confidence that those are the last 2. I've never fought so hard for slots 9 and 10 in my life. I mean, when I think about Ori versus Banjo, that's so tricky. I had so much fun streaming Banjo for everybody, and it was so clever, so unique. I basically did everything in it, almost. You have too strong of feelings about Banjo? What are your strong feelings about Banjo? I would like to hear them so I can promptly ignore them. That would be most beneficial for me, to ignore you. Banjo is... It's not good. Did you not watch that Banjo playthrough? Oh my gosh, it was so good. It's this middle that feels wrong, I think. What's the order of these 5 games? What's the order of those 5? I don't think it should be knocked down to 10 just because it's a fan game. No, Astros is not locked at 3. Honestly, I'm thinking that it could be in this competition too. I feel like we have our top and our bottom 2 fairly well secured. So how would I rank these? What if it was like... this? Is that the order we want? That seems alright. Ori's a little low. It's just like your opinion, man. So I think the reason that these two are tricky for me, Last of Us and Ori, neither of them surprised me in the same way as these other 4. Moon was just such a one-of-a-kind experience. There was truly nothing else that I ever played like it. A little bit of Undertale in there, maybe. A little bit of Earthbound, like was mentioned earlier. Astro's Playroom is like so much more than I thought it would be. I thought it would be kind of a slight demo because it's pre-installed on the PlayStation. But it was such a trip down memory lane, and it was such a like well-executed platformer to boot. Such a good demonstration of the controller. 7 Remake was... I mean, I said it before, I was pretty negative on that game until it finally came out and I played it, and then I was like really surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it. And Banjo was such a good fusion of those 2 worlds. Last of Us and Ori are both incredible soundtracks, but they were both known quantities. And I think I usually value surprise pretty high. Astros was probably 2 to 3 hours to beat, and then another hour or 2 to get the platinum. It's about a 4-hour game. But it's like, it's 4 hours where you're just being like jaw dropped. Knock off Meat Boy for being too different, these 2 for being too the same. What do you mean knock them off? They're on the top 10 games of this year. All right, we can hammer this out. We have just a bit more to go. What if... Let's put them in a different order and see how this feels. I think Aster is pretty high. Let's do Moon 7, Ori, Last of Us Banjo. How does this feel? I can't. Moon doesn't feel like it goes any lower. I don't think it does. It was my second highest non 2020 release before I had the rules in place, so it only makes sense that it would rate pretty high. Do we just organize them by the numbers in their title? Last of Us Part 2 gets to be number 2. 13 Sentinels gets to be 1 and 3. Final Fantasy 7 goes down to 7. There you go. Or can read it all. All right. What if this, that? Last of Us feels... I feel like if I'm going between 7 and Last of Us Part 2, I honestly think 7 beats it. I do. What if this was the order? What do I not like about this? Yeah, don't tell Sprite you're gonna take out 13 Sentinels. She will not appreciate it. 13 Sentinels stays. It stays. Can't really weigh in on Last of Us Part 2. That's fair. If I'm looking at this list, what do I not like about this list? This actually doesn't feel bad. We could do this. What if we just... That? Maybe that? I was a little bit joking, a little bit serious. Looking at Bugsnax on this list, it might belong instead of Call of the Sea at number 10. I'm gonna let it hang there for a second, see how I feel. That feels good. come back when you hear the Xenoblade tunes. Good to know Dan would be on my side. Both Dans. What about that? What if I compromised and we moved 7 lower so that Banjo and Ori could go up? Compromise with myself, that is. My biggest concern with Ori is, well, if I need to nitpick, like if I need to nitpick at these games to drop one down, Ori didn't run great in my experience with it. I did play on an original Xbox One, the like VCR model, so it's a little bit my fault. But yeah, it wasn't super optimized for it. Final Fantasy VII is from 1997. Lose it? Lose it, it's already in the top 10. It's in the first part of your name, Top Spot. 7 is so much more than a remake of 7. I'm not even, like, 7 is not my favorite Final Fantasy game by any stretch. It'd be like my 4th or 5th favorite Final Fantasy game. Well, I know, but that's all anybody's doing is stirring it up, Top Spot. It's important that I feel personally attacked by every single person. Otherwise, what are we even doing here? I didn't put myself in the stocks and hand you all tomatoes for you to not throw them. I think I liked 7 more than Last of Us. A little bit more. Nickikins, yes. This doesn't feel bad. This doesn't feel bad. Honestly, it could even be Ori at 7. 7 here? Seven has that surprise factor. It has that better than I knew it could, better than I thought it could be. Ori was like a just like a reliable delivery, right? You expect it to be amazing, and it comes, and it's just as good, if not better than you want it to be. But 7 was like, got in my face, and it was like, Steve, you don't know anything. Yeah, we haven't really toyed with the top 3 too much yet. I think those are the top 3. I haven't messed with the order too much. I've been too obsessed with this middle part. All right. Should we try that? 13 Sentinels at 1. Let it sit for a minute. Take it in. Is this stream even real? Is any of this even real or not? Oh my god. How dare they play Ori and the Will-O-Wisp music while we're trying to figure this out? Rusty's got my back. Rusty knows what's up. Honestly, gosh. 13 Sentinels at number 1 over Hades. 13 Sentinels at 1. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. This feels okay. Hades and 13 Sentinels are very close, though. Both of them are the 2 prettiest games. The period, end of sentence. Prettiest games ever. They're just so gorgeous. Mr. Door does have some phenomenal emotes. Oh. Throw them in a randomizer, see what spits out. You would rank a game for 20 hours over a couple games you played over 500 hours this year? What are the ones you'd rank over it, and what's the 500-hour game? That's always a really tricky thing, right? You have to... It's hard to assess replayability and games that are designed to be endless against really tight standalone experiences. Like, it's tempting to give Hades the edge because it's like, you can always do another run, there's always more to do, there's always more to play. But 13 Sentinels is like a truly one-of-a-kind story. And there's not really any replayability. But does that matter? I don't know. Hades is 1 over AC and Pokemon? Okay. First to the 10th. Banjo, Astros, Ori, 13 Sentinels, Moon, 7. I'd love Hades as last and Banjo-Kazooie as first. It is. They do design the story in that way, and I will give it to Hades that they keep the story going even after you beat the game. Like, I'm still just essentially just getting more and more story, so. What do I not love about this list? This is feeling okay. So here's my absolute most confidence right now. I am confident that Bugsnax, Pathless, and Last of Us are the bottom 3. I'm also confident that Moon is number 4. Well, I'm pretty confident, but I'm very confident that Astros is number 3. I don't think anything breaches the top 3 or the bottom 3. Made of Skur? Yeah, we could do that. Ross, if you do, I hope you like it. It's a real sci-fi trip. I describe it to people as like, imagine sci-fi anime Lost. Like, this is a very specific intersection of people, but if you've played or watched Steins Gate and you have watched Lost, if you combined those two things, you get a decent idea of what's in store here. The thing that what if I was to bring 7-Up one? Because, I mean, come on. Let's all remember that dancing scene. Let's feel that out. Skur is very good. I am a fan of Lost. I know people hate the ending to Lost, but I think that it's good. I mean, it's not the best ending ever, but I don't think that it brings down the whole show. I think that makes sense. Now the only two I'm not sure about is Ori and Last of Us. Do I bring Last of Us above Ori? Do I bring Last of Us above Ori? I don't think so. I love Ori so much. I don't know. Ross, we already made that decision. You got to move on. It's all going to fall like a house of cards. Did I hear Made of Skur brought up again? No one talked about Made of Skur. We've never talked about Made of Skur. Yeah, Bugsnax snuck in. I'll be honest, I kind of put it in there as a half joke. I definitely did that thing that you do in social situations where you like joke about something that's true and you just sort of like feel how the room reacts to it. I put it on there as a joke, like, ha ha ha, wouldn't it be funny if I just put this back in? And then I let it sit there for a minute and I was like, yeah, it belongs there. I think we might have it. I don't know. This might be it. I answered the call to snacks. Let's just feel it out. Let's just feel it. Let's just simmer in this for a minute. There's nothing that I feel like I would absolutely change, which is a good first sign. I think at any given moment or so, you could convince me to swap Hades and 13 Sentinels. And you could convince me to swap around like these middle 3 here, 6, 7, and 8, but we may have landed on our list. Let me just see. Bear with me. Let me just feel something out here. Just testing the waters. Let that sit in your belly for a minute, alright? Let that sit in your belly. Philbo for president? I will not bear with you. We've elicited a strong reaction. Strong reaction indeed. I don't think so. As much fun as we had. I think Astros is the perfect number 3. I feel like you could swap 1 and 2, and you could maybe even swap 2 and 3, but I don't think you can swap 1 and 3. I just think it's the perfect 3. I think we have our list. Top Spot's always had my back when it comes to Astro. He knows what's up. I think it's the most expensive. If you want to get a complete in-box copy of Astro's Playroom, you have to have a $500 console. $400 console. Snotty weeping. Poor Trav. Poor Trav. His Last of Us is down at 8. Doesn't even get to enjoy any Maid of Skur. I think I settled it. We're gonna give it 10 seconds here. We're gonna feel it, and then we're gonna lock it. We've done it, people. We've done it. And to celebrate, Courtney has a round of memory card. What is your question, Courtney? Please tell me. "10 games that aren't on this list that should be." Yes. Everyone shout out your biggest offense. What is the game I cut that you would have most liked to see? What is the game I didn't even talk about that you would most like to see? My God. Mario 3D All-Stars, not eligible, but a great pick. Animal Crossing, Nickikins? I'm assuming AC is not Assassin's Creed. Sackboy's a good pick, but it didn't quite make it. Cold Steel 4, solid. Ooh, Mario Bros. 35. Honestly, that's a good one. I should have put that in here. I basically forgot to include that. It wouldn't have won, but I would have liked to at least put it on the board for a second. Imagine this is a Mario 35. Right through there. That's Mario 35. Just imagine it. Enjoy it. Dan, I feel so bad that I did not have a chance to play Like a Dragon. Please. It probably would have gotten really high. We do have them in the queue. Ghoster Miles, very good. Very, very good. All right, people. It's been a good stream. It's been fun. I enjoyed putting the list together. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Let me find someone to raid here for you. Who should we raid? Oh, you know what? We'll send everyone to What About Brunch. How about that? I usually just lurk in Brunch's stream, but Brunch is cool. Let's send everyone that way. Thanks, everybody. For hanging out. I'll post the picture. Top Spot, you have committed to liking this for me, so if you don't like it, I will know. Let's set up the raid and send everyone over that way. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out. Take care, everybody. You all are the best. Heart you. Peace.
On 3DS I got Nintendo.